Oh, hey there, Speed Gaming 2. What's happening? It's time for a Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Wednesday. I'm the Schwantz27, and I'm joined in the commentary booth tonight by Papa Shango. Papa Shango, how we doing?
I'm doing pretty good tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully. So, we got the Final Fantasy VI Randomizer, and we have a matchup for our current Tournament of the Month. So, would you like to kind of explain what type of options that we have for this seed while I give my runners the once over to let them go? We're getting ready to go.
Yeah, sure. So there's a War of the Magi is the tournament of the month going on. So people are divided into pods of 4, and they get a month to play each other, and they get basically various amounts of experience depending on how they do, who they play, other various tasks related to the tournament throughout the course. And then over the course of the whole season or the year, you gain experience and you move up the ladder. It's almost like a ladder system. There are 3 flag sets that are in this, and they correspond to the Warring Triad statues. We have Doom's Rage, Poltergeist Fury, and Goddess's Edict, and they're a little bit different than what we normally see in our standard, what we call standard racing in the Ultros League settings. Our scaling is typically a little bit harder, but also based more on checks instead of progression. And then in this, and they kind of each are themed. So like the item rewards or magic available kind of goes against or in favor of the statue of the flag set. So like in this one for Poltergeist Fury, the only magic that we'll have available to us is fire magic, which Poltergeist absorbs. And then our item rewards are going to be more relic based, and then only flame shields or mega elixirs. So we're not going to get any of those big weapons that we're used to seeing on dead checks. We get the unlock requirements a little more different. It's 7 characters and 9 espers, whereas in Ultros League it's more 6 characters and 9 espers. We also have a couple different objectives, like the skip is randomized. In this seed, it looks like we're seeing on the screen 8 characters, 12 espers, or 24 checks gets us our Kefka Tower skip. Out of those, I'd say the 8 characters is more attainable. But then we also, if we kill 4 dragons, we'll get auto haste and shell, which is our big boosts. But in these settings, the dragon dead checks will increase our enemy scaling, but not increase our experience scaling. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword there. We also have something called Y NPC remove is on. So our runners will be able to hit Y when facing an NPC and just vanish them from existence, banish them to the basically to the Shadow Realm, and just get them out of the way and move on. Comes in useful in a few spots. Mainly, it can break our logic in a few checks, and we'll probably see a couple of our runners use that fairly early. Also, we have at the end of the game, the real final boss will be the statue bosses instead of the Kefka. Kefka is the real final boss, but the hardest part of this seed will be the statue positions. Our Warring Triad statues are shuffled amongst their vanilla spots, so they're not going to be mixed in with the rest of the game. They'll be waiting for us in the statue spots when our party is split up, which makes it difficult with a max level of, I believe, 50 in these seeds.
Yeah, so that is going to be where the real toughness begins for our runners there, because the statue bosses, they can be a bit of a problem there.
No, absolutely. If you're not, that's something you really have to prepare for and be ready to be able to handle at the end of the game for sure. Something always in the back of our runners' minds.
So yeah, this is the tournament of the month. So this is the tournament of the month for June, because we are in June at the moment right now. Can you tell us a little bit more about the structure of the tournament of the month that we have going on?
Yeah, sure. So anyone that wants to sign up at any moment, if you want to participate now, you can sign up now and get in on it. There's no like hard start and hard end date. It's just people come and go as they please. And then you get put into a pod on each month with 3 other runners. So a total of 4 people into a pod. And then you each get play each other once during that month at your leisure. And whoever, you get a certain amount of experience points for winning a match. And then as the months go on, you gain experience and you level up so to say on the ladder. And then you'll get kind of bonus points if you beat people that are higher level than you. Is kind of the structure right now.
Nice. So it's kind of almost like an ELO system, which is pretty cool. And we get to progress on to the different tiers, unlocking different fun bragging rights and things of that nature.
Yep, it's definitely a nice little ladder kind of ELO, definitely type break from our normal async races.
Yeah, so with the one-on-one as well, there's sort of the metagame of you know who you're racing up against, and you have to sort of deal with what their tendencies may or may not be, which makes things sort of interesting as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like if you're up against, I won't call out anyone by name, but if you're up against certain runners and you're kind of familiar with them a little bit, you'll know like, oh, they really like to do maybe Phoenix Cave, and so you know that you either got to try it yourself or kind of go against it. And it was definitely some metagame, which makes it a lot of fun.
All right, so we're going to get our runners kicked off just shortly here, but let's talk a little bit about Worlds Collide in general. So Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide is a little bit different than a lot of other randomizers where there really aren't key items, or rather the key items are kind of the characters themselves, because the characters are what essentially opens up more of the game to our runners. We are going to start with 3 random characters, as you kind of see on Sigil's screen right there. And who we have dictates sort of where we go. And at each world event, you'll get either another character or a piece of magicite or a high tier item, depending upon the luck of the draw, if you will. And our runners are trying to look for 4 additional characters along with 7 espers total. And we are off and running here with, it looks like a Mog, Locke, and Terra start. Our character abilities are also scrambled, so that's Help, Natural Magic on Mog, Sword Tech on Locke. I didn't see what Terra had.
It was Capture.
Capture? Interesting. Okay, so those are the skills that we have. Papa Shango, where can we go with this set of characters in order to get potential rewards? I already see Physics Japan going to one place.
I was going to say, Physics is going straight to the one of Locke's checks, which is the weapon shop in the World of Ruin Narsh. Now, we have YNPC remove, so that's something you could do out of logic, even if you didn't have Locke in this flag set. We see Sigil activating the Lone Wolf check, which is on Mog's side. We'll see if he actually climbs up the mountain of Narsh to check for that. That's considered a free check as well, meaning it's a check that you don't have to fight or pay any money for to get the reward on it. The main check I would probably do first is Terra's Sealed Cave, and that's got just a whole ton of treasure chests in it with a free check at the end of it. But I would expect our runners probably to head there next. Let's see what Locke's decision here is. Fenrir or Flame Shield? Yeah, I think Fenrir is the easy decision there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
However, with Terra, remember, we can access both of those items. So unlike in the vanilla game where you have to pick Ragnarok the Esper or Ragnarok the Sword, in Worlds Collide, you could actually get the other item that you leave behind. However, it's behind Terra's Wealth check, which is one of the areas that we can go to with Terra that I don't think we got to her checks yet.
No, it looks like Physics is heading over to that sealed cave that I was talking about earlier. And yeah, really with these characters, they're kind of I think they're a nice set of characters to start with. You could end up in some less than ideal checks, but there's a lot of checks available that can get you another character and kind of into a different path. But each one of these characters have a free check that you can do, which helps you push scaling. And they've also got a few fast checks. Mog, not so much. People don't really like his checks. But Locke's got, the Tunnel Armor South Figaro Cave spot. Terra's got Welk, which you talked about earlier, which is a very fast check in Narsh. And really, with the way the scaling works in this one, where your enemy levels will scale off checks, but your experience only scales off progression, then I think it's good to get the free checks, because with check scaling, you start at 0 checks, and the minimum level of Worlds Collide is 3. So your enemies are only level 3, at 0 or 1 check. So there's no reason not to go for anything like that.
Right, that makes sense. So in Worlds Collide, enemies are scaled based on the scaling factor, and not based on location as they are in some other RPG randomizers. And in this particular case, it's every world event that our runners do. The enemies will go up 2.5 levels. So far, since both runners did the Narsh Weapon Shop check for lock, their enemies went up by the first of 2.5 levels, essentially. So they're still really at level 3, give or take 1 in either direction here. What are our runners looking for early on? So everything in chests and shops are randomized. The shops are randomized, and the item prices are within 25% plus or minus what they are in the vanilla game. As for chests, they are shuffled plus 20% random, I believe, in this particular set of options here. So you're seeing some pretty good things in some of those chests. I've seen 2 Genji armors, a set of Dragoon boots, and some other goodies. The Dragoon boots, especially with Locke and Mog, is a really good combination here.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen some earrings and hero rings. They've definitely gotten some, I wouldn't say anything necessarily S tier, but definitely a lot of very useful items that you'd like to keep and not sell.
All right, so at the end of the Sealed Gate Cave, which is one of Terra's checks, this is not a character, otherwise we'd see a character sprite here, and it is yet another Esper with Unicorn. So now Physics' enemies go up by another 2.5 levels, so they're going to be at level 5 and change here. Sniper for Locke is a nice good pickup there, and Enhancer for Terra is also a really nice good pickup. We could sell some of the, I noticed that Golden Shocker had mentioned the plethora of Force Armors that we've seen in the chat, so those are some interesting things that you could definitely sell for sure.
Yeah, there's 2 in barrels right next to, or boxes right next to each other for Sigil, and you decide just to get rid of one. Or maybe 2, I didn't notice if you got rid of both of them.
Yeah, so that's the interesting thing about the chests being very randomized, is that you can get really high tier items that you can either decide to keep or you could decide to sell early on if it's something that you think you could be useful for yourself throughout the rest of the season. There you see Physics Shebang making use of YNPC set to remove. Instead of switching parties, it allows you to delete NPCs, which has the unintended, I think, side effect of allowing for sequence breaking, because doors that are locked in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide are actually just invisible NPCs that are blocking your way. So it'll be interesting to see if any of our runners do any sequence breaking in this particular flag set here.
Yeah, the one that they might do would be the Science Mount Zozo check. Doors are considered NPCs in Final Fantasy VI, and so you can vanish a locked door, which lets us get into Locke's Weapon Shop or Mount Zozo when we don't have those characters. So, I don't know. Schwantz, what do you think? Would you head to Zozo and kill that dragon, despite it not increasing your rewards, and that your item rewards aren't that great for killing dragons?
Well, we do have a bonus when you kill 4 dragons, and it is to get the auto haste and auto safe statuses, which will speed up your characters and give them additional protection against physical offense. And we see Zen Thief selling a very expensive shiny stone there, Shady Guy in the Woods. So maybe we'll see if the price is different in the world of Ruin, as we see Sigil heading in there now. Did either one of our runners check on the Curse Shield?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure Physics just went in and got the Esper, the Fenrir, and left.
Interesting. I know that the number of battles is slightly higher for this flag set because we do start with YNPC remove. So that means essentially we can get the Curse Shield right off the rip. So I think there's 7 to 6.
It's 11 to 20.
Flag set. Oh, it's 11 to 20. Okay. Yeah. So 11 might be too rich for some people's bloods. And there we see Sigil finding some Atlas armlets, which is very good to boost your physical offensive damage. I also saw an Aura Lance there in the weapon shop. So that might be something we've got our eyes on for later for Mog. That is something that Mog can naturally equip in the game.
Yeah, I definitely, if I find a Dragon Horn, I'd be thinking about going to do that. Now, one of the other things for the Curse Shield is that it does teach Ultima, and Ultima is a very strong spell, which can kind of get you any character through any of those statue fights at the end. So that's would be something I'd think about decursing, just so I can make sure I have at least one person that can get through each lane at the end of the game.
All right, so the spells on Espers are also randomized. We see Life 2 on Fenrir. Things that are not randomized, what the Esper summons do, basically are not randomized. The boss scripts are not really randomized. They're sort of skewed with the same element, but just stronger or weaker depending upon the level of the bosses, as well as the boss weaknesses. So our runners have to have some vanilla game knowledge as well as some randomizer knowledge in order to complete the seed. And we've got a really nice grind fight here for Sigil. We give our runners Moogle Charms to avoid those random encounters, but you can take them off if you'd like to do some random encounters, and it's probably a good idea in order to level up your characters a little bit to fight some enemies instead of bosses or dragons here.
Yeah, I always love to see the undead enemies in your opening grind fights, and it looks like Sigil is he's going to be doing a bit of a sequence break here, because I believe he's in the World of Ruin, Zozo, which is Science Check, instead of the World of Balance, Zozo, which is where you can do Terrace Check. But also with INPC Remove, I believe you can do both checks in the World of Ruin, so you can but it looks like he is going up to do Science Check.
Yeah, you can get either or. Actually, what I would do is I would remove my way into Terrace Check, because there is sort of the Dataluma boss at the top of the tower, if you remember from the vanilla game. You could actually just remove that boss out of the way without fighting him and get a free reward, essentially, at the end of Zozo Tower. So I might have actually gone up and gotten her reward first, and then used the Warp Stone to double back and get the dragon here, as we did just learn some Tre Fuego there for Terra. So, or maybe that was Mog with natural magic. I was going to say,
was that on an Esper, or was that a natural magic learn?
Yeah, that was a natural magic. We did have a flame shield from the basement here, which does teach us Fire 2, but Fire 3 was definitely a Mog natural magic. So now we know at least the job for Mog and Terra for the rest of the seed might be to sling some magic spells, and I believe Sigil was the one that picked up the sniper for Locke, if I'm not mistaken. So,
I saw him looking at it. I'm not sure if he bought it.
Yeah, always a good choice there. Lots of really good items so far from Sigil back in Mount Zozo as well. Looks like Physics Shebang is going to do a different tactic here, and it's going to take off the Moogle Charm outside of the South Figaro Cave, which is one of Locke's checks, actually. So we'll see if they decide to go all the way through and end up doing Locke's check after doing a little bit of grinding. And we'll see what's at the end of Mount Zozo, which is technically the Cyan check, and it is an Esper there.
Yeah, but Sigil walked past the dragon spot to come do this. I like seeing that play. He doesn't have a lot of Espers. He can... that looks like... Magic was that a Magic 2 Esper?
2, yeah. So Esper bonuses are also randomized, and since we picked up that Esper at the very beginning of the game, that means we get to have that bonus for more level ups than if we got it a little bit later. One of the advantages, if you will, of increasing your scaling early is that you can increase the amount of stat bonuses you get from Espers, because you're learning it for even more levels here.
All right, looks like we got Sigil going to fight the dragon. That Torado Esper doesn't have anything great on it. It is an offensive spell, and multi-summon is on, so it's something you could do, even though it's not the greatest. But hey, in a pinch, it can work.
Yeah,
we got Fire 3, so probably won't need it, but it's an option.
Torado is Earth, which there's not very many bosses that are weak to Earth, and the majority of the dragons are floating, so it won't really work against most of the dragons here.
Oh, and here's the white dragon. Can always open up with 1 to 3 instances of either Scarbeam, level / Pearl, or Pearl. Looks like Sigil gets a little lucky there, only gets 1 attack out of him. Hopefully he can kill this before it gets another round of attacks off, but it does have low health, so I think he can do it.
Yeah, so the dragons, in addition to their vanilla drop, which in this case will be a Pearl Lance, will give out 200 XP per level, depending upon what the dragon level is. We'll give out 50 MP, so you'll basically learn almost any spell. and it will drop one of those aforementioned high-tier items. So that's dragon number 1 on the board for Sigil. And that is a dragon horn. Boom shakalaka. We've got the god tier dragoon build here for Mog if we want to go that route. However, with Fire 3, I think maybe that might be his build instead here.
He could, but I didn't I mean, maybe Locke or Terra could equip the Aura Lance too. We do have a randomized chance for other characters to, use all the equipment.
All right, Sigil hitting up the Coliseum here. So the Coliseum, you get a random reward for a random bet. So there is a menu that shows a subset of the different rewards there. Echo Screen for Offering is a pretty good one. However, this is going to be an interesting fight with one of Kefka. I think this is like a Kefka Tower enemy here. So we'll see how well we do in this particular fight. One of the fun things about Coliseum AI is that it could potentially sometimes choose your random command or cast a random spell. You don't have control over your character in the Coliseum. However, picking up an offering here, especially when Sigil knows where snipers are, can be huge.
Yeah, definitely will be a good pickup, and I didn't see exactly what level Locke is here, but I think he can only use Sword Tech 1 through 3, which kind of are all useful against us, unless he only uses 3, which does percentage damage, so that will not end up killing us. We'll get the Fortis very low, but will not actually kill it.
There we go. Yeah, so that's a huge pickup there for Sigil. I was about to say, why do we need to go to the Coliseum? Well, I guess there's a Dragoon set in the Coliseum too. I didn't realize that when I was looking at these flags, but we do have our offering here, or we have Boots and Horn.
Let's see what's he checking out. Is he trying to see?
So you do get a Dragoon set for winning a Coliseum match. Yeah, I was going to say, I think we kind of know where stuff is that we want to buy. We need to afford it, right? So.
Yeah, and then I mean the Pearl Lance is a pretty high tier spear for jumping too. So now we've got a sniper offering. We can have a Dragoon Boots and Dragon Horn. We got 2 sets of those really. So if we really want to, we can go full quad attack, up to quad attack, untargetable offense, and just let RNGesus take the wheel on our ride to Kefka here.
All right, so Physics Shebang finally done with their walking around getting some levels and runs into Vargas in the Apple Toilets here, the Ipoos. So this is our first boss fight of the run at South Figaro Cave here, and we'll see what we get as the reward out of this. As we do see Cyan peeking out of the Umaro hole there. So if we end up getting Umaro, we know that we can get Cyan behind that. And here's Edgar,
an Edgar
for us at the Welk spot, and it is Marshall and Barbie's. This isn't... What's going on here? I don't remember this fight.
Yeah, so when Worlds Collide, decided that the Lobos were a little too easy, and so replace them with some randomized enemies, like you saw there. Those are some of the more tame ones that can end up. There can be some retainers or ogres, which can be a real problem, because Marshall was just a little too easy, we felt, in the vanilla game.
All right, so we are getting Edgar, which is really nice for our Boots and Horn and Pearl Lance combination that we picked up earlier. We're seeing Sigil go here, pick up the Fire Shield. Always nice to have to throw at Final Kefka, just in case. And now that we have Edgar, where else can we go in the world?
So Edgar's got 3 checks. He's got a free check, which is the Figaro Castle throne. You can go to Figaro Castle in either the World of Balance or Ruin, and just walk up to the throne, and your reward will be sitting on the throne. He's got the engine room, where in the vanilla game you find Jared, whatever his name is, Edgar masquerading as a thief to unclog the tentacles from the engine room. And then once you do that, then you can bump into a stratum on the way to Kolingen and work your way into the ancient castle, where you find, I think it's Odin or Raiden in the vanilla game. And those are his 3 checks.
Actually.
Yeah.
All right.
I haven't played vanilla in a while.
No, Physic forgot about Welk, and he's deciding I'm going to go back and get it later.
Yeah, I don't blame. Everyone's done it. I don't blame him. Just to keep going. Now, something interesting about grabbing that flame shield from the back of Terra's check is that's a dead check, so that increases your enemy's levels, but doesn't increase your experience rewards. And I saw a skip, and this one is set at 25 checks, which is pretty far out, so that's unlikely to happen. So I'd consider skipping that.
Yeah.
But flame shields are good equipment too.
Listen, I don't mind it. I could throw it at the final boss, and as you mentioned earlier, we know that our statue bosses are inside Kefka's tower, so that means that's just some more elemental protection against poltergeists when we have to fight them later on in the seed. So Lone Wolf offers a choice between a item that he holds on to or something else. In this case, it was Madeline. If there was a character there, it would be that character. And we do see Gao is the reward for the Kefka at Narsh battle, which is the only check that is not gated by a character, which can reward a character. Sigil's going to have a slight advantage here because you do have to split up your party into two, and he has 4 characters, whereas Physics Shebang only has 3. So whatever this boss is at the end of Kefka at Narsh, Physic is going to fight with a party of 2, whereas Sigil is going to fight with a party of 3 here.
Yeah, it's definitely where that forgetting and walking past Welk, which had the Edgar, is going to bite him here. However, he does have a Ragnarok Esper, which has Fire 3 on it. So he'll be able to get that on more than just Mog here, which will help him out.
Yeah, and it looks like we have a Pearl Lance Boots Horn user in our Edgar here. And oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Ruh-roh-roh.
We passed math.
Thank goodness. And as if it wasn't good enough, that Pearl Lance here with Edgar is going to do twice as much damage, actually, to Doomgaze. Doomgaze, very high physical and magic defense. However, every little bit is going to help here. So we're going to go ahead and use the Pearl Lance. So this fight is definitely going to be a lot faster here for Sigil, if not more annoying, because that Doomgaze is just annoying.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Physics break a flame shield or two here.
Yeah, Sigil did actually unequip the Flame Shield from Locke, so maybe we're going to see it here. Physic knows that there is one hiding behind the Welk spot, and that the Flame Shield breaking will do a maximum damage tier 3 fire spell, and fire is one of Doomgaze's weaknesses along with Pearl. So there you see the insane amount of damage. It was 6,200 damage from that Flame Shield when it's just 1,200 from Fire 3. So that's the difference between breaking a shield and just using it. And here we see the juicy sniper procs coming off. 3 times damage to floating targets, of which Doomgaze is one of them. So there we go. We got another fight down, and that is member number 5 there for Sigil, and member number 4 there for Physics Shebang.
Yep, and that Gao has GP, Rain, and Blitz. So I'll be interested to see if he keeps them over Edgar when he goes to do Welk. The Blitz is definitely, both of those are actually pretty good abilities. But I think I'd rather take Edgar with all the lances and dragon horns we have laying around.
Yeah, I think had we not found the sniper, maybe I would consider Gao. Bum Rush is one of the most powerful single target attacks you can have in the game, and by the time we get to our Kefka unlock, we'll probably be past the level 42 requirement for getting Bum Rush. However, with the party already set that Sigil has, I don't blame them for not taking Gao. He did, however, use the forced party reform at the Kefka at Narsh to go down to a party of 3 and found some dried meat earlier. So this is one of Gao's 2 checks here on the Veld. And the other one is just around the corner at the Serpent Trench here.
Yep, now I believe in the one of the modifications in this War of the Magi verse when the Warring Triad event initially happened is the runners, we do start with dried meat and some warp stones. So that's I don't know if he found dried meat in a shop or if that's he's using his starting dried meat.
Got to eat it if you got it. And here it is, a Ghost Sprite. So since the Velt check is guaranteed either a character or an Esper, we've got ourselves Shiny Stone number 4 there for Sigil.
So now Sigil's kind of got a decision. He's got a lot of characters pretty quick. The way the logic works in Worlds Collide is generally, as you like to say, it's deeper than it is wide. I think it's the phrase you use. So your most recent characters are more likely to lead to your next character. So in this situation, would you go to the Serpent Trench, Schwantz? It is a longer check. It looks like Sigil will.
Yeah, I'm choosing to go to the Serpent Trench now. It's not that long of a check, really. And I tend to save checks that I can either look ahead or peek at, or checks that I know what the reward is for later on in the seed. Whenever I get my set of characters or my set of espers, I could sort of focus in on my checks to the better attributes. So I think doing the Serpent Trench here, you are basically right here already, and it's not a check you could peek. So I just do this and get this over with.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like it. Sigil's kind of gotten a lot of checks and progression. I think he's lagged behind his scaling right now. And so with all these forced encounters, it's a good opportunity to gain some experience in a lot of situations. This isn't one of those, though.
Yeah, no, we're going to run away from this fight. Nobody likes to see this here.
Unless you happen to have X Zone, in which you can kill the shell and the head at the same time and get 2 Dragon Claws for a lot of money.
Even if you do that, you still get... it's still annoying. The animation
for sure
takes a while to play out.
Especially in the situation where Sigil really is trying to get some experience. Ooh, he's running from this one. I'm surprised to see that.
Yeah.
Because Wooly is weak to fire. The way Shake could be a problem.
Not with everybody else off screen, but yeah, I agree with you. I think this seed is going to get very difficult later on. From my experience anyway, from the War of the Magi flag sets, is that they're relatively tame early on. It slows down a little bit in the mid game, but at the end, it's where it really starts to slog between the Kefka Tower warring statues inside of the tower, and just because the 2.5 scaling really starts to ramp up as you accrue more and more checks.
Yeah, definitely. And then it turns out that, this trench is not real experience rich, not a real great trench here, except for that one fight that he ran away from. It's not the best encounter in the game, but it's it wasn't bad.
Yeah, anytime you can get XP, you might as well take it.
Yeah, and these sprinters always have a deceptively large amount of health, I've found. They look like they just should fall over, but then they take a few hits.
Yeah, and it's much less XP than than what we saw in the earlier fight there. So,
and that's quick on Shiva on Physics Bank's side.
All right, so maybe we'll learn that later. I tend to have a blind spot for quick. I tend to not recognize it as the powerful spell that it is, because it allows you to basically take 2 turns at once and freeze ATBs, correct?
Yep, absolutely. It's with all the ways we have to do multiple attacks and break the magic damage cap with our current characters, it's not as important, but I think it gets overlooked as a defensive spell when you're up against, your statue bosses right at the end. When you only have one character that can really do any meaningful actions, it's nice to get 2 in a row for them and prevent them from getting counterattacked or killed.
All right, so it was another Esper there at the end of the Serpent Trench. So Gao's lineage did not lead to another character. But remember, we still have plenty of other checks from our starting 3 characters, and we have not seen anything from Edgar yet. So we'll see if our runners decide to lean on some Edgar stuff, or if they'd like to take some quicker checks. Although I'm not quite sure what checks would be quicker now, other than, doing the Zozo Tower and not fight a boss for Terra sort of check.
Yeah, and at this point for Sigil, I think I might want to fight that boss for him and just get experience, because he is starting to fall behind his scaling. And if he does, say, Edgar's throne check and then does a Zozo as a free check, he's going to just get even further behind. He's going to have a hard time getting through some fights.
Yeah, that's always the most difficult thing to gauge as someone who's running through a seed, right? Is how do I balance between doing things that are fast and quick and free versus going to fight bosses so that I could snowball my levels as the seed sort of progresses. That's sort of a difficult thing I've found in order to gauge, and it's very hard to teach other people as well how to do that. And speaking of teaching, during Skaloot told me to plug the Moogle Cup, so that's what we're doing now. We have a new mentor program. So you want to tell us a little bit about that, Papa Shango?
Oh yeah, sure. There's a program called the Moogle Cup, and that's for new players. Something I participated in when I started a little over a year ago. It's a great thing. Basically, if you're looking to get into the racing scene and kind of just want a little guidance on where to get started, you sign up for the Moogle Cup, and that's where you run a little bit, I wouldn't necessarily say like easier or easy flag set, but one that's a little more beginner friendly that doesn't have as many obstacles in the way. And you get to run it along with a mentor kind of in your ear. They watch you run and kind of talk you through things and answer your questions and let you know about some of the nuance of the game and how to race. And then once there's enough signups, the next Moogle Cup will start. And there's a tournament where you learn how to do races, where you'll do some async races, some sync races, and progress through until we end up with just a one Moogle Cup champion at the end and their mentor. And so it's definitely something that helps you get started. It's one I participated in the first Moogle Cup, and I thought it was a great experience.
Yeah, signups are always open, and the event will start when we get enough signups. I believe we need either 8 or 16, some sort of nice multiple for
Yep, 16 runners is what we wait for.
All right, so Sigil looks like they went fixed dice boots horn on Edgar for the time being, taking the Pro Lance off, really leveraging the huge power of fixed dice earlier on in the seeds. Fixed dice has a bit of variability because of just the nature of how it does its damage calculation. So using it early on, definitely much better than using it later on. And our runners are essentially tied here in terms of character Esper progression, both with 5 characters, 6 Espers. So still anybody's race here as we decide to decide where to go next, excuse me.
And here's Sigil, you get into the sealed gate. Definitely a lot later than you normally see this, but the treasure and the reward is just as good.
The other interesting thing in our community is if you don't want to go through a whole event and if you just want some guidance or some coaching, there is a way to fill out a Google form and you can get either a live coaching session depending upon your availability, or if you'd like to just throw a video over the wall and we'll do a little review of it to, point out some improvements that can be made upon your particular run. That's also available too as well. So lots of resources to get you started if you're new to the community there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's looking like Physics Shebang over here going to fight an Opera Dragon. This is one of the dragons that just you can go fight at any time. Looks like he's either needs to learn a spell or is just looking to get a boosted experience here. I didn't see any of his newer Espers, if there's a spell in particular he wants to find, or if he just feels like he needs to catch up on some experience.
Yeah, I think he's got all the same Espers that Sigil has, except for one of them, right? Because Sigil didn't do this, and this was an Esper at the end of the Sealed Gate Cave, and Physics Shebang is the same amount of Espers as Sigil does, so there must be a difference in check somewhere. Unfortunately,
there is. It's this one and
Mount Zozo,
Sigil did, right? Zozo. Yep.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And also, Sigil picked up some fixed dice when he was in the South Figaro Cave on that chest that kind of is off to the right there, and I believe Physics Shebang skipped that chest, so he doesn't have those dice. Although, for anyone that is familiar with physics in the community, he has a real hatred of fixed dice, so I doubt he would have used them anyways.
Yeah, they kind of outlived their usefulness. They're right at the border of, let's swap to something better now. Especially since Sigil saw that Aura Lance earlier. I'd much rather have that than the fixed dice. Do we
Oh,
jump
yeah,
right
at the
around
end of the
those?
game for sure. But in the early and mid game, and especially if you're behind scaling like Sigil is, I think the fixed dice is a great use right now. And it looks like we got physics following in Sigil's footsteps. They're kind of retracing each other's steps here with the checks that they're doing. And then, so see
Yeah,
if he does any more eluding.
Yeah, so what are you thinking, Papa Shango? If you were in these runner's shoes, right, where would you sort of go now?
I think I would consider doing Edgar's checks. I'd either go to the throne in the World of Balance and just peek in and get that free check real quick, or if I wanted to be a little more efficient, thinking I'm going to do all of Edgar's checks anyways, you can go from the World of Ruin through the engine room first, and then after you get through the engine room, go do the check. But I think with where I have found my characters, I would probably do Edgar's checks, or I would do Terra's World of Balance so first. But with the way the logic works, I would chase my later characters, which in this case is Gao and Edgar, and we already know Gao's a dead end. So I think I'd start heading to Edgar's checks.
Yeah, interesting play here. Sigil is parked outside of the Magitech factory, which is normally something that is gated by having the character Celeste. However, you could sort of yeet the guards out of the way and make your way into the Magitech factory. The Magitech factory's check attributes are interesting for what we have right now, because the first and second part of the Magitech factory are Esper item reward only, and then all the way at the back after the minecart ride, that is where you can potentially get your character. So there's only one potential spot in this area to get a character, and it's all the way at the end. So we'll see if Sigil goes all the way through, or if they just stop at the first two to get their potential 9 Espers here.
Yeah, well, definitely, I'm interested to see what he does here, because, again, like I said, he is kind of still behind scaling and levels, so that minecart ride does have a lot of fixed encounters to give him a chance to gain some experience. And then something, might give him a leg up on physics if this is something he doesn't think he'll do, that little bit of that metagaming, like
Right.
you were talking about earlier in a 1v1 race, because I know Sigil and physics are very familiar with each other. I believe physics might have been Sigil's mentor in the Moogle Cup. And so they definitely know each other's play styles.
It makes sense as to why their route is almost identical.
Yeah, they definitely do a lot of similar stuff, and I know they race frequently and bounce a lot of ideas off of each other. For those that don't know, physics is a mentor in our community and does not all of our, but a lot of tutorial videos and guides on the wiki. And so is definitely a teacher. And so he's been teaching Sigil, and I can see that's why they're doing the same stuff. So Sigil might be trying to do something that he might know physics doesn't want to do. If he feels like he's a little behind and trying to, do a catch up and do something out of the box.
Yeah, Sigil is also paying it forward with giving back to the community as well. He also is a mentor, was a mentor in the last Moogle Cup too. So it does look like Physic is going to park near the South Figaro Cave in the World of Ruin, which is how you start the Edgar conga line, as you mentioned earlier. I absolutely despise Edgar's checks. However, taking a look at the board of what we have left, I think this is sort of our best option here. Is back-to-back force armors. What is South Figaro shipping?
Oh, and it looks like we got a half off economizer that he is going to buy.
Interesting.
I'm a little surprised about that because he didn't get the Curse Shield, so it's not like he has Ultima or any horribly expensive spells. He's just got Fire 3, which can be a little expensive, but usually not too bad where you need an economizer.
Yeah, for me, I would rather have the earrings to do more damage than to be able to cast more spells, right? I'd rather have the fight end earlier in terms of turns than be able to cast as many spells as I can. The difference is that when we get into the final Kefka fight, that is where you have to manage your MP. That's normally the only fight I ever find that I'm like, wow, I'm out of MP and I could really use some right now.
Yeah. What do you think he's looking for in this item shop over here? Oh,
no idea.
Stones.
Yeah, I think this is just I have Edgar, I can get half off of shops, and I can get half off elixirs, so let's just sell my inventory and buy some.
Ooh, and just another dragon horn for Sigil. Now, something that Sigil could have done here, like you've talked about with the World of Balance Terra check, since we kind of are looking more for characters than espers, he could have Y removed that boss he just fought, and he could Y remove this boss coming up, and just kind of sprint through to the end where the character could be. Something I thought he might do, but it looks like no, he wants to do the bosses.
Yeah, so interesting thing about that strategy, Papa Shango, is if you do that, you actually do not get the reward, because the reward comes only after the fight. So if you do remove the Shiva sprite in the dumpster and the number 24 sprite here right before the Sid cutscene, you don't get the reward. You just continue on through the Magitech factory. So if you're looking for a character, you won't get the first two rewards. You'll only get the last one potentially.
Yeah, in this situation, I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world, because we still need 2 more characters. Oh, and here's one on physics side, and we got a lot of checks ahead of us where we could end up, just stumbling into espers along the way anyways. And just because you Y remove those bosses doesn't mean you can't come back later. They will be back if you want to go through and get them afterwards.
Yeah, it just feels bad because
it certainly does.
It's double walking, and having Celeste here at Edgar's check will put the Magitech factory back into logic, right? Because right now we've sort of sequence broke out of logic to go get the Magitech factory. And we also sequence broke Mount Zozo, right? Mount Zozo was behind the Umaro check, because we saw that from peeking the top of World of Balance Narsh. So, interesting thing here, Papa Shango. I want your thoughts on this. Physics Shebang is going to get Celeste, and then has a choice. Do I continue down to the ancient castle, or do I walk out of here and go chase the Celeste line of checks? Right? That's the proposition that I give to you. What would you do?
It's definitely a tough choice. It would depend how much I value the rewards for killing dragons, which I don't really that much in this flag set. I would probably chase Celeste and opt out of the ancient castle, especially if he comes out of this. He's going to have 6 characters, 7 espers. I would probably do what Sigil's doing right now, go to the Magitech facility. Like you said, you could get 2 espers in the front and a character in the back, and then you've got your unlock requirements coming out of there. But Physics has killed 2 dragons already, so he might want to go down to the ancient castle and kill a dragon and get a check at the same time. But if it were me, I would go to Magitech.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that Sigil unfortunately found 2 items in the first 2 checks. So I think he's kind of forced to go to the back in order to get any value out of this play, right? If we found something else, right? Maybe we find 2 espers at the beginning. Maybe he doesn't go all the way to the back. But now that he's come up empty, basically, in the first 2 spots, you have to do this, I feel, anyway.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I absolutely hate doing this, Jack. But, it's the circumstances. It's the lesser of all evils, I feel. I don't like Edgar's stuff. I don't really like Magitech 3. But you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. But I do think Sigil, this wouldn't be bad for him if he'd stop running away from these fights and actually take them. He's leaving a lot of experience on the table, and we'll see if that comes back to bite him once he gets in the tower when enemies are level 50.
Yeah, the second 2 mobs that we saw here,
that encounter is terrible.
Deal. But the first one is definitely worth taking there. All right, so we do get character number 6 with Celeste there for Physics Shebang.
Yep, and he didn't even look at what she had.
Yeah, at this point our party is pretty much set, so I don't feel we need to do that either. So we'll see what Physics decides to do. Maybe he'll go up to the throne to check the throne, and then he will make his decision about whether or not to go down to Ancient Castle here. It's brutal because there are still lots of checks that we can do. We can do Phoenix Cave for Locke. We can do Google Defense for Mog. We can do a bunch of different Terra checks as well. So I feel like leaving the Ancient Castle here is not a bad idea. However, that means that you are last locationing it and you're not coming back here unless it is where your 7th character actually is.
Yeah, and I don't blame him in this situation doing what he's doing. I think makes sense to leave it behind. I'd probably go over to South Figaro and do the basement first for Celeste for her free check before going into the Magitech. And that looks like exactly what he's doing. Oh, and Umaro. So we do know there's where another character is.
All right, so Sigil now knows where character number 7 is because of Umaro. So he is going to be rewarded by doing this Magitech Factory out of logic here. So he'll be able to get to 7 characters, even though he didn't get Celeste. Let's see what's at the basement here. And there is Setzer.
Ooh, Setzer.
So one of the things I love about Worlds Collide is there isn't necessarily one way to finish a seed, just due to the nature of chasing numbers instead of chasing key items, right? So very interesting here that Physics Shebang is essentially one Esper away from go mode.
Yeah, and he's Setzer is a great character. He's got a free check in Collision, a very fast Esper or item only check and Search the Skies. Daryl's Tomb is even a pretty fast check. It's the longest of his checks, but still pretty fast. So he's got some speedy checks in front of him here. Now Sigil on the. Oh, and there's Sabin. No, I'd take that.
Oh, go
I
with Sabin.
That's Skip. I was going to say Skip is 8 characters.
Maybe he's got to go look at the track menu again just to make sure.
Yeah.
All right.
But,
so
Sigil knows where Cyan is, and he still needs 2 Espers. And so he's definitely going to go up there because the Tritok spot that he has to fight, but to do Umaro's check, it can only be an Esper or an item. And then after that, he'll have a choice. He could go do Doma Dream and unlock Sword Tech for that lock. He does have an... yeah, but it is an option. With all the offerings and Dragon Horns I have, I probably wouldn't do it either, but it could be a choice.
Yeah, so as far as characters we've just seen... So Celeste, we talked about 2 of her 3 areas. The other location you can go to with Celeste is the Opera House Disruption, where Ultros threatens to ruin the opera. I don't think we're going to see that out of either one of our runners. It's a bit of a lengthy check, and it's got some forced encounters in the front of it. Umaro just has the 1 check, which is where Sigil is going now. Setzer has 3 different areas. The first, the Colingen Inn, where we saw Sabin chilling out, drinking alone. And this is the second one where you could choose the Doomgaze spot from the airship. And then the third one, as you mentioned, is Daryl's Tomb. So this one is an Esper item check. So I like this play from Physic here to go get this potential Esper. But if I were him, I'd run back in and grab Sabin for my Kefka Tower skip.
Yeah, an egg. I mean, I always like seeing an egg. It's a little late, but better late than never. So
not
Physics
at 45 minutes.
No, but Physics must not realize that his skip is 8 characters. He's just thinking it's going to increase his scaling for no reason. He doesn't want to do Sabin's checks, but yeah, he definitely should go back and get that if he realizes.
Yeah, perhaps it's a move where, okay, I know that Sabin is here now. I will grab him right before I'm ready to go into the tower, right? So that this way I don't scale my bosses immediately, but I'll have to get them at a certain point.
Ooh, and I saw Sigil hovering over the Ragnarok Esper there. That would have been fun to do. He's got plenty of power, so he doesn't need to do this. But dragons can be metamorphed from the Ragnarok Esper. If you ever find yourself in a tight spot with an unscaled dragon or something, you got a 25% chance.
Yeah, I've never actually gotten it to work before. Now, granted, I haven't tried it all that often, but I've never had Metamorph work once. Not even on like a Lobo at the Veld to try and get dried meat. It hasn't happened.
Oh. That's too bad. I have had it work once for me on a dragon. It's one of those strategies where Ragnarok is your first Esper, then you can like maybe YOLO a dragon and just go for it.
Yeah, it's maybe my luck, but yeah, it just hasn't happened here. All right, so Sigil is going to get this Esper item and then is going to get Cyan. So I agree with you, Papa Shango. Doma Siege, which is a very fast check for Cyan, is probably the way to go. And hey, we have a vanilla frozen chicken.
And then on physics side, we see him using the Woolly Rage to get Ice 3, because in the Poltergeist flag set, Ice and Bolt spells are not available. One of the few ways of getting access to those spells is Rage, so it's nice seeing him kind of utilize the Rage list a bit against this Red Dragon. Although we see there, you gotta actually get the proc instead of just punch.
Yeah, so Rage has a chance to choose Fight or a chance to choose Special, and in this case, the Special for Wooly is Ice 3. You also inherit all of the properties of the monster that you are raging. So you do see Edgar absorbing that Flare Star, and that's just due to the properties of said Wooly there.
You wonder if he has a Flame Shield or something equipped, because I believe Wooly's actually weak to fire.
Is that the case? Okay. I might have been mistaken. You might be right. That's got to be an element.
Wooly absorbs, I think, every element except fire.
Okay. Yeah, with Wooly, I don't ever remember. I just cast it and go, oh, darn. Yeah, let's try something else.
I wasn't looking. Was Tritok dead?
No, that was Esper number 8 for Sigil. So this will be go mode here for Physics Shebang. And he'll be in skip mode if he goes back for that Sabin. So then the question is, Papa Shango, do you go snipe that 4th dragon to get the extra buffs to your characters?
I think I would in Physics' case. You can just hit a dragon on your way up the tower. I know Physics is a fan of, not necessarily a fan, but more willing to double run the tower, which is send his whole party through one of the lanes, fully clear it, kill one of those statues with your full party, then warp out and split 2 and 2 for your side lanes. Mm-hmm. And so if he does that, I definitely would fight that dragon on the way. Because he doesn't seem to have quite the same physical power that Sigil has. He seems to be relying a lot on magic more, and so he could probably use it a little bit.
Yeah, especially because, as you mentioned, no ice magic, no bolt magic, so we're going to be pretty useless against Poltergeist, and we will also be pretty useless against the second phase of Doom. Don't leave Cyan behind, Sigil. I've seen a runner do that in a race once, and it was not fun.
Oh, no, that would be tough. Ooh, X-Magic Cyan.
You do have to interact with the character that you recruit there. All right, so Sigil needs one more Esper. We can buy the Esper at Zen Thief. We do know that. Or we can try for Dome of Dream, but it looks like Sigil is going to take a detour over to the dragon that Physic just killed a little bit earlier, because, yeah, his levels are... Actually, they're not that bad compared with Physics. They're about the same.
No, I was going to say, they're surprisingly... I thought he would be behind Physics, but he's about right there.
Yeah, part of that is you gain way more XP at the end of the seed than you do at the beginning of the seed. Even though it takes more XP to level up, right, with higher levels. That's sort of the snowballing effect of Worlds Collide, is that we tend to keep the level up kind of steady throughout the whole stream of the seed.
And it
Learn in Berserk, just in case.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just a nice safety blanket knowing you have that spell in case you do run into the Magimaster. He can be berserked and you don't have to deal with all of his massive spell damage anymore. But it does look like Physics going to do the double run the tower thing. He overloaded his right party, which goes through the middle lane. And so he's going to clear out this Inferno ambusher spot. He's going to go through, probably kill the dragon on his way to get his bonus. Kill the guardian spot in the middle, and then kill the middle statue, and then warp out and split his party into 2 and 2 for the side lanes. Now, we'll see if he grabs that Sabin, but I got a feeling he just doesn't realize that's his skip.
And it's unfortunate that we do not have Gao here to suplex this train. Maybe Sigil will deliver with a train suplex when he gets in the tower a little later.
Yeah, always a fan favorite. That would be a real great way to win the race right on the spot. It's a real come from behind mechanic in the game. Yeah,
so in the vanilla game, you can actually just use a Revivify or Phoenix Down on Ghost Train, but in Worlds Collide, we have an option to remove the undead property from bosses. So that's what we do to make our runners actually fight the boss and make it an actual difficult fight. All right, so let's see where Sigil decides to go for his final Esper there. I think Doma Siege, which is one of Cyan's checks, is probably a good option. We could peek it. We could also go talk to the little girl in Mobliz and see exactly what the reward is. And it's actually pretty close to where Sigil is if he goes just to the other side of the world.
And, or like you said, he still, I believe, like you said, I don't think he has bought the Zen Thief. So he could go do that. I've seen him talk to it twice in the World of Balance, but I don't think I remember seeing him buy it. I'd have to pull up his stream.
Meanwhile, Blue Durgan there for Physics Shebang over on the other side.
What Sigil's looking for in the Coliseum here?
No idea.
Remember what he could get? There's offerings for echo screens, I think.
Do we need another?
I don't know if he needs a second one though.
Yeah, nothing. Whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Gauntlet, but that's about it.
Yeah, so you see on Physics side, he's relying a lot on magic. He doesn't have the Dragoon Boots jump build. He doesn't have the sniper offering that Sigil has. So you see, like, Edgar was one of his main damage dealers, only doing 2,000 damage with his Fire 3.
Yeah, that's not great. All right, so here will be Sigil buying the Zen Thief Esper, and we will see if they decide to head right in. Oh, they don't have the option to go get Saban. That's right. So it's tower time for Sigil here.
Now, what do you think? Sigil has got a different power dynamic than Physics had. Would you split the party up if you were Sigil and just go through it and run it once, but at a higher risk? Or would you do what Physics is doing and send your whole party through once to clear out one of the lanes?
That's a great question. I think I do the full send and just go through the tower once instead of twice, because we have a Boots Horn that we could rotate between Edgar and Mog, so split them up into two different parties, right? A Dragoon build is great for all of the statues, actually, especially with the fixed dice potentially, and he did look to see who could use that fixed dice, and it is most of his party. Additionally, where is he going here? Oh, he's taken out the dragon, maybe? Last dragon? Not quite sure. Anyway, yeah, I would do just the one tower run. Level 40 is good, but not great for levels against the statues, but I think he's got enough variable offense to plug and play here, so that even if he does run into a hiccup, he'll be able to solve it on the next save.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think he's got, because I believe he checked the fixed dice, and a lot of people can wear those, and he could definitely pass that around and be fine. Now, the advantage that Physics will have is we'll see if he peaks the side bosses, because you kind of get, after he clears out the middle lane, he can swap over to one of the other parties and see who one of the other statues are, and then by process of elimination know what the other statue is too. And so we'll be able to cater his party a little more for those bosses if he remembers which lanes you have to put your party in to get into the right spot. That's always a challenge for me, at least at the end of a seed. If I need to reform, I always put him in the wrong spot and end up all the careful planning going to waste.
Yeah, I don't quite understand what Sigil is doing here. He has two characters from his final party in party number 3, and then the other two in party number 1. So this is a new bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him here. However, we have Gao in this Ghost Train fight, so you know what time that means, chat. Let's see it. Come on, Sigil. Deliver the memes for the stream. If he remembers that Gao has blood. Oh, no.
No.
Oh, he's going to
bring him back to life? No.
No, he's not going to do that. Oh, that's unfortunate.
That is. I'm just gonna say that he wanted to do it, and the train just knew his threat and took it out.
Ghost Train 1, Suplex 0. F's in the chat, folks.
So I guess I wasn't paying attention. You're saying that Sigil split up his party 2 and 2, and so he's got one lane?
Yeah. So Terra and Mog are in this party here, and then Edgar and Locke are in party number 3. So I don't know what he's doing here. This is some new strategy that I'm not aware of.
Well, I believe Locke, at least Locke, I think. I don't know if Edgar can wear the fixed dice. Maybe he's just going to really rely on a low level fixed dice jumper.
Cyan and Umaro is in this lane.
Oh,
so, yeah. So I don't know what this is.
He's putting his trust in the Yeti. I mean, he got these characters pretty late. Their levels aren't terrible, because when characters join your party, they do the average of everyone, and so late parties ads aren't horribly low level, but to send these two against a level 50, say Poltergeist. Oh, Genji Glove is actually a nice pickup.
Yeah, it's too bad we don't have two weapons for that yet.
Yeah, I didn't buy 2 snipers.
All right, so here is the first of our statue fights. It is Goddess there for Physics Shebang. Very high magic defense, and will counter physical attacks with potential of Love Token. But thankfully, we have magic attacks here, and we have Jump. And as I mentioned, Jump is very effective against Goddess. Yeah, I'm not sure what Sigil's strategy is, and I'm hoping that Physics Shebang goes and grabs Sabin after doing this run through the tower. So Sigil is going to pick up this 4th dragon here. Because we have X Magic Cyan, who doesn't know any spells, and then Umaro.
That's going to be an interesting fight for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing on Physics' side, his Locke only jumped once. I thought we picked up a whole bunch of dragon horns. Did Physics somehow miss out on all those dragon horns?
No, because we dropped a dragon horn from the Mount Zozo dragon, which Physics definitely did. Unless he sold them to buy that economizer, I'm not sure. My head is scratched.
Yeah, mine too. So this will be interesting because Physics is intentionally running the tower twice. Sigil may have to run the tower twice if his Cyan Umaro can't get through their fight. However, Sigil or Physics doesn't have a way to break the damage cap right now unless he uses Quick. Sigil's the only one with that offering in those dragon horns is kind of can get through tier 3's counter Medio phase, which we'll get to when we get to the final fight. So this is a tight race. They took completely different routes, have completely different kind of offense, and kind of going to end up in a pretty tight race.
That was so quick. I didn't even get to see.
That was Doom.
Okay.
Oh, Radimus in the chat is saying that he thinks Locke has the experience egg. That would make sense. He'll get the horn on right at the end, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't usually like putting experience eggs on Kefka's tower. I'd rather have a relic that does more damage, because our party is compromised, although in Physics' case it's not actually. So all right, at about an hour into the seed, we have lots of decisions that our runners have to make here. And Physics is just going right back in. Did we
no saving, I like it.
Did we get the skip wrong? I'm going to go open up the seed and make sure.
No, I'm pretty sure it was 8, but... Oh, and Physics not even putting filling all of his mules. Hopefully he remembered which one of his mules had the Moogle charms on, and he doesn't end up having to shuffle around. He put the right characters in.
No, it is definitely 8. I just loaded up the seed and took a look. So with the Warring Triad Tournament of the Month, the skip has some sort of variance in it, so that not all of the seeds are exactly the same, which I think keeps you on your toes and keeps things interesting. However, it also has this tangential effect of you don't get it drilled into your brain as to what the Kefka Tower skip actually is.
Oh, and there's Physics warping out. I think he did what I was talking about. I think he left a Moogle charm on the airship, and instead of screwing around and having to shuffle between his parties with Moogle charms, he's just warping out and reforming.
Yeah. I hate when that. I hate when I do that.
Now, Schwantz, we've been talking a lot about the skip, and I'm not sure. Can you tell me or tell everyone, what that means?
Yeah, so the Kefka Tower skip actually allows you to go to basically the spot where Sigil is right now, or maybe a couple steps back, where you push sort of the weights onto the switches. You start at those switches, and you only have to fight the 4 bosses at the upper part of Kefka's tower, the one at the Guardian spot, and then the 3 statue boss spots. So it avoids all of this walking that Physic is going to be doing to get back to those 3 spots there. So it's very powerful. However, it is a one-time use thing. So once you use it, you cannot get another skip unless there is a completely other skip objective. Not necessarily a condition, but a whole different objective.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah,
it ends up
Sigil's
saving like
party
3 to 5
is-
minutes of walking.
Oh, yeah. So you see Sigil's party here is going to body Goddess, although Edgar needs to learn how to sit on his dice and get back to the craps table if that's what he's going to be showing
Yeah,
off.
we're
The
not
triple-digit
taking him
rolls.
to Vegas.
Yeah, offering Sniper doing work here for Locke.
Yep, definitely. Goddess is one of these few bosses that you get to fight in a pincer attack. And so her little wing, wherever it's pointing, is her front. And so if you're hitting the back of her wing, you'll do double damage when physical attack. So he got lucky and was able to hit her in the back a few times, which helps speed that up.
All right, so that is 2 bosses down for Sigil, and each of our runners only has 2 bosses remaining. Let's see how they tackle both of these, because again, I'm not quite sure what is going to happen here with Sigil's party.
Yeah, I'm quite interested to see how this Cyan Umaro is going to work. And I believe they've got Poltergeist, so it's going to be interesting. Although it does have a couple flame shields he might be able to pass around. No, he broke one. I don't know if he's got 1 or 2 flame shields left. It'll help
he
nullify a lot of that damage.
definitely picked up one from one of the dragons that we fought. I need to mark down his other dragon, don't I?
Because I know he broke one on Doomgaze. I'm not sure if he ended up picking up a second or third one.
All right, so we do have the fixed dice offering on Terra for this particular fight, and that will help out during the second phase of this fight, where Doom gets the reflect and image statuses.
Yeah, once he gets his aura shaking,
Oh, boy.
really gets his defense. Oh, some
I don't
good
know-
rolls.
I don't
Might
know
not
if
get
I don't know
there.
if the aura is going to shake. we keep rolling like that. Oh, there we go.
Oh, she cooled off.
That is the duality of the fixed dice there. 2 quad 9s and then a 1/6/4.
Yeah. Yeah, the pit boss came and cooled off the table, made everyone leave.
Terra got
Ooh.
the back off order.
And so here comes the reflect on that second phase that you're talking about, but the fixed dice offering should be able to handle this all right.
Yeah, so fixed dice, even if we didn't have offering, never misses. So even if we didn't have the offering, it would still go through the image status that Doom has up for this second phase. So it's one of the weapons that is very ideal in this fight here.
Yeah, one of the ways around this at the end is either having the offering or a weapon like the Illuminar dice that won't miss. You could break rods or shields, which also pierce reflect. One of the, I wouldn't say lesser known, but forgotten about strategies is if you happen to have the Dispel spell, you can cast that on Doom and it gets rid of his image and reflect status as well.
All right. So that is second Warring Triad boss down, and now Sigil has the Samurai and the Yeti, and we're gonna see what he does here.
Yep,
Meanwhile,
definitely.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, meanwhile, it looks like Physic Shebang has got well, he knows which statues are in which spots, so he is ideally situated to take out both of these bosses. He knows what's coming up here, and he's got the right stuff, if you will. Take one down, shuffle around is what we're doing here.
Yep, and this is definitely one of the ways you can get through when you split up your party is if you only have one offering or one paladin shield or something, you can pass your good equipment around. It might not be the fastest as fast as your main carry going through the fight, but they'll get through the fight, which is what's important.
Yeah, so it
Except
looks
for
like...
in Sigil's case, I'm not sure if they will, but I'm definitely interested to see.
Yeah, it looks like Sigil is going to do the fixed dice offering strat here on Cyan, and with the flame shield, you know what? This might
He's
actually
level 34.
just
I think he'll be able to do it, as long as he doesn't get stopped and blasted.
This is... Oh boy, this is an interesting strategy.
Did the Marvel Shield shoes, they give him haste? Does haste prevent stop?
I don't believe it does. I know it prevents slow. Let's look that up.
Because I thought I saw some discussion in the Discord the other day about how, or somewhere, that haste stop, but I didn't think it did either. But I'm happy to be wrong there. So Poltergeist has a few attacks that can still get through the flame shield, which is the stop blaster combination. We'll see if he does it. He didn't do it. Shrapnel is one of the attacks, and the Psy Grip would be another one. That's a high physical damage attack that the flame shield won't help, and Cyan's health is so low, anything like that will kill him.
Yeah, so the stop duration depends on how fast your character is, right? If your character is fast, then the stop will happen a lot less. So let's see here. I'm just clicking around. Don't bother me. So stop will wear off after 38 seconds. So that gets increased, or that gets increased if your character's slow, and that timer gets decreased if your character is hasted. But it doesn't say here that that haste will actually prevent stop. So
okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it looks like Physics got through his Doom statue no problem, so he's down to Poltergeist. Cyan has been having a hot hand here. He might actually get through this on this roll. With another good roll, it's going to be close. Nope.
Yeah, so here it says Marvel Shoes will create as your status effect regen, haste, shell, and safe, and it prevents slow. It doesn't say, oh no.
Ooh, and there it is. Was that hyperdrive?
That was hyperdrive.
Yep, and so that's the problem. The dice, if he gets lucky with these dice rolls, he can get through this, but the flame shield does not make you invincible to Poltergeist.
Would actually do boots and horn dice versus
I agree.
Dice. It's not as fast as having Marvel Shoes offering dice, but it's way safer. And choosing to have Cyan here with his his horrific armor. Yeah, this is tough.
Yeah, this was definitely putting your faith in the dice. A real opposite of what you would see a Physics do. And so hopefully it works out for him. It's just, if RNG is on his side, 2 turns and this thing could be dead.
Right, one of the other unfortunate things is Sigil having to go and re-equip everything. Alright, so Flare, ignoring that high magic defense of Poltergeist, doing 7,000 damage a turn. Yeah, it'll be slow, but it will be steady. Alright, so I think
shell coming in handy. That Flare Star only did 1,800 damage. I thought it would kill Mog. Locke doing surprisingly low amount of damage for having that experience egg on. I know he's just got a sniper on his jumping, but I know Poltergeist has a high defense, but still, he's not doing that much damage.
Yeah, very high physical defense, and remember, he's got auto safe as well, so that cuts your physical damage by 1/3. So he's got multiple factors working against him. The snipers also are not great as a jumping ability versus something like a lance. Gets higher damage multiplier off a jump.
Ooh, and Cyan not getting the good rolls here.
No. So, Papa Shango, the race comes down to this fight right here, essentially.
Yeah, it does feel like it, because Sigil does feel like he's got a bit of a stronger offense if he can get through this fight in a reasonable amount of time. Ooh, Fallen One coming out.
Yeah, I think you just got to push through and just keep going. There we go.
Oh, there's some. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Meanwhile, Sortech 7 is what Locke has, so that's what he used that experience egg for. And Sortech 7 will ignore physical defense on each of its swings as well. So really nice party composition there from Physics Shebang. And we have a race, folks. We got an hour, 12 minutes, and 40 seconds, and we're essentially at the same spot for both of our runners. Chat, who do you got in this final fight? Papa Shango, we'll go with predictions with you. Who do you think?
This is going to be really. This is going to be really close. I feel like Sigil's got the better overall offense, but he's got a lot of untargetable offense. Physics can choose what parts he takes on, which really comes into play during the final fight. He might get on the switches a little bit sooner. It's going to be about the same. I'm gonna think Physics just edges it out just by a bit. I think it's going to be under a minute or even under 30 seconds apart.
All right, so Chad is saying whoever puts Yeti in the party, no, absolutely not. Yeah, this is a tough one because both of our runners essentially have mostly the same stuff, aside from one Esper, right? Because somebody bought the Zen Thief and somebody did Setzer checks, essentially, right? So I don't know. My gut says go with Sigil here because less reliance on magic means we will do less casting animation time. He needs to get in this final fight though yesterday. So come on, let's get in the fight. And yeah, I think it'll come down to execution, which is great because that's something you want to see in a race rather than luck is execution. And here we go. Physics Shebang. We'll switch his audio since he's the first in the final Kefka fight here. The good thing about having fire magic is that we can take out the head pretty fast here, huh?
Yep, definitely can. So tier 1 has got 3 parts. It's got the long arm, which can be instant death, which did miss. You see Physics using X-Zone trying to do that. The head, which is weak to fire, and then the balled up fist, which will only do physical attacks. Now, the head will do things like that R polarity, which switches your row, and if it left alive last, will counter with Quake. Our party's got a decent amount of health, so they could probably handle it, besides Mog there. But still, you'd rather avoid it if you could. And so that's why you see Physics doing the instant death. Now he's focusing on the head, and then he'll do the short arm last. So yeah, the fire magic coming in handy here. Oh, and another time-wasting R polarity.
Oh God, please stop. Yeah, so this is what I said. Some of it's going to come down to a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, right? We had a couple of X-Zone misses for Physics Shebang. Sigil just getting into the fight now, so if he gets off X-Zone on the first try and allows some of his physical damage attackers to sort of run wild here, he might be able to catch up rather fast. Neither one of our runners have access to mute, is that correct?
I don't remember seeing it.
So, yeah, I think we're not going to really know until Tier 2.
Yeah, Tier 2 is the great equalizer. Tier 2's got a lot of different statuses, and just really, if Tier 2 decides that it wants to kill you or just waste all your time, it can, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it if you don't have the proper tools to handle it, which we really don't have all of them. So that'll be it. Oh, and it looks like Sigil not getting the instant death.
Too.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Now, I think our runner's got the health that with Sigil's being unable to target his offense on everything, I think he could handle killing the head last and eat a Quake if he really needed to. I'm not sure if he could handle killing them both at the same time, though. And we got Physics moving on to Tier 2. Swans, can you tell us about why Tier 2 can be such a problem?
Yeah, so we do have access to X-Zone, which can instant death one of the parts of this here called Tools. We do not have access to Mute, which will nullify another part called Magic that just casts magic spells. So that's going to be where this fight might go a little sideways, because he has a wide variety of spells that he can choose from. So depending upon how nasty Magic wants to get and how much time he wants to waste will be what our runners have to go over here. Tiger is weak to Ice, which we don't have. And then Hit will give us 10 hits at the end. So lot of tools that we are used to, a lot of creature comforts for this tier. We don't actually have it at the moment right now.
Now, something the runners could have done, if they, either they didn't realize or didn't think it was necessary, but multi-summon is on, and so Fenrir is a great defensive Esper to use on tier 1 and tier 2 since tier 1 is all physical damage, and tier 2 for 10 hits really helps defend against that. But we do have auto shell and safe, so maybe they feel like it's not necessary.
Yeah, so let's see.
Here's one of those things.
Oh god. Well, thankfully we've got fire magic. Triple kill. Well, thankfully we've got the fire magic, so we're able to get out of that. But yeah, on some of the other seeds. Oh my
Sigil
goodness.
has mute.
Wow. So one of the minor Esper differences there. Sigil able to take advantage of mute and is going to use Fenrir on this tier as well. So somebody reading the flags here. Oh, love to see it. However, Physics Shebang already has 2 of the 4 parts taken out, whereas I believe Sigil still has all 4. So
his X zone hit, so Tools is down.
Oh, Tools is dead? Okay. So we have 3 of 4.
And he's using his quick with his offering user.
Yeah, so this is going to be faster than Physics' lock doing Sword Tech 7. However, you could see Sword Tech 7 does way more damage for Physic than it does for Sigil, even with the sniper procs.
Yeah, and that's probably just one, Sword Tech 7 being better, and 2, Physics had that egg. Even if it was a short time, he still got a good amount of levels out of it towards the end there.
All right, so out comes the Flare Star here for Tiger. We'll see what we happen.
Ooh, and a Doom Tusk. Great block.
So Doom Tusk means that Tiger is pretty close to being dead, and there it goes right there. And I believe on Physics' side, they still just have the 2 to fight Magic versus Hit. Now, if I don't have Mute, I tend to try and take out Magic before Hit. So we'll see if that's what Physics tries to do here. It looks like either Magic is dead or Sword Tech decided that Hit is my enemy. But it looks like, based on the targeting, that this is 10 hits the death counter for this part. And Physic is going to be on to Tier 3 before Sigil is. However, Tier 3 is also quite a pain point for our runners here.
Yeah, and it's going to be a little bit more of a pain point for Physics than Sigil because of Sigil's got that offering with his sniper and using quick. So on Tier 3, you've got the girl and you got Sleep. And the girl has only got 9999 health. And you need to kill her first because she will heal Sleep and also bring him back to life if you kill him first. So we just need to take her out first. But once you get Sleep below 10,000 health, or right around 10,000 health, he's going to start countering every attack with either Meteo, which is a very high damage magic attack that has a 50-50 chance, really, it seems to hit or miss. But it can also counter with Train, which gives you blind and mute. And so one of the best ways to get past that is to be able to break the damage cap, which Sigil can do and Physics can't. So we'll see if that ends up slowing down it.
Physic has Sword Tech 7.
Oh, he does have Sword Tech. Yeah, but it's only doing...
It's doing a lot. It's doing like 12,000 a turn here.
Oh, okay, it's 12. I'm sorry. I thought he was only doing like 10,000 or 11 with it. He's just going to have to be tight with his counting.
Yeah, so interestingly, since Girl absorbs all of the elements, like you said, we decided to use Flare on Girl to take it out right away. That's really nice heads-up play by Physics Shebang there. Otherwise, I think he would have struggled trying to get the proper hits with Sword Tech 7, because I don't think he's got any other non-elemental offense here other than Flare. Simultaneous? Wow, that's not the word. Simultaneous Fenrir casts. All right, out comes Merton here. So this is the 3rd turn, I believe, of Sleep. So he's going to be inching closer and closer to that 10,000 HP limit, and that is where we're going to want to get as close to 10,000 damage as possible here.
Now, I haven't been keeping super close track, but it seems like Sigil's caught up a little bit of time on Physics through this climb, because he got on those switches a decent amount later, although he's still about a tier behind. Physics got through that Tier 3 no problem.
Yeah, so Physic making good use of their getting Sword Tech 7 to come out to induce the calmness. And now we're at Final Kefka, and I believe I saw 2 Mega Elixirs in Physic's inventory, so the Fallen 1 that comes out on turn number 1 for Kefka should not be a problem for him. So I think we're going to see a GG pretty soon out of Physic.
Yep, definitely seems that way. And if you can do more than 30,000 damage on your opening turn, you can skip that Fallen 1. I don't think Physics quite has the damage, and even if he did, he's using Sword Tech, which, while your Sword Tech is charging, it does not stop the enemy ATB, so when Sword Tech is your offense, a lot of times you'll get Fallen 1 no matter what.
Alright, so Sigil hitting the effects of Meteo there, and Girl is still alive, which is kind of a problem.
Yeah, he hasn't been getting real lucky with his targeting.
Alright, so out come the Flame Shields here now for Physic. There's the Fallen 1 that we just mentioned earlier. So here will come the Mega Elixir, and now we could just put our foot back on the gas here against Kefka. We've got to be a little careful, as Sigil does do the quick with the sniper offering, so does get past the calmness phase there and is on to Final Kefka, but I think he's out of runway in terms of trying to catch up to Physic here.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Sigil on this one. Physics should only have a couple turns left.
So time is when we see the first flash of the Final Kefka defeat animation. So we should probably be seeing that shortly as we're charging up for Goner. Let's get in all of the damage that we possibly can at the moment. So if we have any more shields left over, now is when we would break him there. And I think that's going to do it there for Physics Shebang.
And there it is. GG's.
Official time 1:24:15.
That was quite the race. Had a lot of different paths, different power levels. That was an exciting race to watch.
All right, so we do have Sigil here. Did end up losing his Terra, which was one of his better offensive capabilities there. And we'll bring in Physic Shebang, winner of tonight's race. GG, Physic. How are you feeling? I think you are feeling like your microphone is either muted or not on or disconnected. Can you hear me okay?
Hold just a moment.
Oh, there we
go. We got you now.
Okay, I think we're good now. Hi. That seed sure was Fire 3, wasn't it?
Tre Fuego indeed.
Just 2 people with natural magic Fire 3 and Esper with Fire 3 and my fan favorite Flare, which if Boss Morpheus is in the channel was probably having a field day with it. Yeah, that seed was Flare and Fire 3.
Speaking of fire, Sigil coming in right behind you with a 1:25:35, so within 80 seconds of one another. A really, really close race there.
Wow, GG Sigil, that's amazing. That was not a fast seed, and I'm not sure how that could have been made faster, to be honest.
Yeah, so we'll bring Sigil in here, and we can discuss. One of Sigil's strategies was to go get the Dragoon set